everyone, to another broadcast of the Soul of the Everyman on the ArtistFirst Radio Network. All past broadcasts are podcasts. You can find them at ArtistFirst.com. We welcome your email questions and comments. Hit us up at dj@artistfirst.com. Now here they are, Michael and Margaret Lyons.
Thank you very much, C-Man. I am Michael Lyons.
And I'm Margaret.
And I'm going to pay attention to peace.
Yes. Yes.
and that's it. That's the show. It's going to be a quickie night. No. Tonight, although we are in North America coming up on a big holiday, which is Thanksgiving. And tonight we're not going to talk about that. We have had shows in the past where we talked about holiday stress. And I don't know, maybe we'll do one before the holidays are through and gone. But tonight, and I think this is generally true right now, is the things that are roiling our society, and there are many, are getting undue attention. And one would say, well, of course they're important things and they require attention. And what our show tonight is going to be about is that's kind of backwards. It is what you give your attention to that becomes important. And it is what you give your attention to that, in essence, transforms you into something which you may say you don't want, but your attention says otherwise.
Your path is always interesting because you decide in every moment how you're navigating your path. What I remember, what it brings to mind, is when we were being taught how to drive. And the instructions were always to focus further down the road. Don't just look at what's right in front of you. You know, you're only looking like 10 feet in front of you, because your way of driving becomes almost mechanical. You make little adjustments all the way through. But when you're focused further down the road and you're taking in the curves and the twists and the corners, in your head, you're looking ahead. In your head, you're looking ahead. But allowing your body to respond to that information that's coming in the distance, and you notice that your driving becomes much more smooth. It's not this click, click, click of the wheel. It's just a flowing kind of steering that happens. And if we allow ourselves to understand that attention is key to how you function, it begins to make sense.
Well, and some of this is also driven by, there are many practices, Zen, and you can read about this in many different modalities. But a lot of them kind of center upon this idea of attention. When you're doing a meditation, one of the things you're trying to do is to break the constant mind pattern, the squirrel jumping around in between your ears that wants to draw your attention to everything except what is maybe happening at the moment. It wants to draw your attention to the past, to worry about, rather to obsess about what happened and how it could have been different, and if I had only done this and if I had only done that. Or it wants to draw your attention immediately to the future. And, I could be doing this, and I plan to do that, and next year we'll do these things, and so on and so on. And what if this happens, what if that happens, which is kind of the negative aspect of worry, and anxiety. It could be this, it could be that. And it also wants to draw even your present moment into stories. So when things happen, it wants to draw you into a story about why it happened and who's behind it and what their motivations were, and filling in all these really ridiculous, if you think about it for a moment, details about what it thinks others are doing, or what it thinks the motivations, why did that thing happen to me, kind of stuff. All those things, all the mind is doing, is trying to draw your attention to what? To just it. The voice, and the voice is, but let's just say the voice in your head is really trying to get you, and you, the greater being, you, to do one thing and one thing only. Pay attention to it. Listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
And you say to yourself, if you introspect a little bit, walk back a little bit, get yourself out of that modality of scroll. So why? What is it getting from me? What is my attention worth? And the idea we're going to talk about tonight is that your attention is worth is one of the most precious things that you have, that you can direct, that you can control, that you choose to attend to something.
Mm-hmm.
It's a choice. It may not seem like one, perhaps, but it's a choice about what you pay attention to. Every stray thought is just that. We talked about it last week or the week before. These thoughts come in. They don't have any real motivation. They don't even have really necessarily a purpose. They're really, I hesitate to say distractions. What they are events of a different type. They're thought form energies, but they really can't exist except in the fact that they take a little energy away from the being, and then to acquire depth and power and persistence, they require something more from you. Your attention, your constant feeding of the little thought form that then will grow. It will become, as many things have we talked about many times, it can become an obsession, it can become a neurosis, it can become a psychosis, it can become something which, in essence, transforms how you interact with others.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it's all the root of it. The root is your choice to attend.
Mm-hmm. What you are paying attention to is much more important than what you give it credit for. Because you think, oh, well, I'll just turn and look at this, or I'll look at that. And especially if it's something that is beginning to give you a story. There's a hook that comes out so that you receive the story. And when you understand that you as a human being, you love stories. Nothing better than a good story.
Especially where you're the hero.
So if you can just understand that is the perspective that you're looking for, something that is relating to you in some way, preferably as a hero, but you'll take the villain too as long as you're getting the attention.
True. Very true.
So when you understand that that's kind of the sublime in the back of your head, looking for something that's going to tell you a story about you. And so the attention gets shifted over to that which is giving you a story about you.
and some of the reasons why it's about you is because it does hook you. The hook is that I'm going to tell you a story about you. You're going to love this. But I think there was something else that you said that was really interesting. That the way that the story comes in is it is looking for a hook. It's like bait. I mean, if you think about it, when Madison Avenue is trying to sell something, they're trying to grab one thing, your attention. And they've got a million ways to try and grab your attention. And as you also said, they don't really care if it's negative or positive. They don't care if what they're doing makes you hate them or what you're doing makes you love them. As long as you care, and caring is another word for attention, as long as you attend, as long as you're raptly looking and hating it every moment, or you're raptly looking and loving every moment of it. So that's been used in an external sense to capture the same thing that your thoughts are trying to do to you in an internal sense. Because both things can't live without you. Madison, right?
Yes.
Right? Madison Avenue can't live without you. If you don't pay attention, they shrivel up and blow away. And what a lot of the meditation modalities and forms are trying to do, are trying to teach you to control, to conserve your precious resource of attention, to use it in the way that benefits you, that transforms who you are, that validates the being within, that isn't feeding Madison Avenue or a psychosis or some other parasite.
Right. It is the revealing that a human's superpower actually is attention. It is consciousness itself. What you give your attention to is the superpower of a human being. If you look at the Buddhist tradition, Tibetan Buddhist especially, the incarnation of a human being into a sentient form is considered the most precious incarnation you can have. And in their particular way of looking at things, it takes thousands and thousands of lifetimes to become sentient. And most people do not appreciate the fact that they are sentient. They just say, oh yeah, sure, that's what I am. And then proceed to denigrate it.
Waste it on thought forms or on whatever.
Well, on whatever. They look at it and go, well, I want to do that, so I'm going to do that. I want to concentrate on this, so I will. Or the old, you can't make me do this. Your typical 4-year-old. No, I don't want to look at that. No, you can't make me do that. It's like, okay, the attention needs to be here and now.
I love that because, there's another aspect of attention. In becoming sentient and having the ability to attend, right? That's what it is. You have the ability to pay attention to something. You may have noticed throughout your life that when you are truly attending to something in the moment of now, time, they say time flies, but really time stops. You lose track because your attention focused on a task, perhaps something which requires a great deal of concentration, which is also something that you've learned to do very well, like a sporting event or some amazing ability that you have. Athletes often talk about being in the zone. What is in the zone? The zone is that your attention is completely, totally focused because it has to be. and everything else drops away. There's no past. There's no future. There is the moment of now, and it's exhilarating. They all talk about the euphoria of being in this zone, in this moment. I felt like I couldn't miss. That everything I do was going to work perfectly. That this beautiful inspiration was going to go onto the canvas. That this music was going to, and time is no more, because time, the past and the future, are the operating zones of the mind. The mind wants to drag you there, and the little stories which involve you. You notice that they never are satisfying. They're never something which you can relax into. They're always, do this, now do this. Oh, that could happen. This could happen. Oh, and she said this, and he said that, and da 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 da. And it's always something which spins you not into the moment, but into a contrived moment, into a play. Yes, the hook is, God, come on, this is going to be great. It's going to be all about you and how horrible you are, but when you get into something so deeply, when you've spent you've acquired the ability to do something because you love it. You love to be, a baseball player or whatever it is, and you get so good at it, it becomes something you can do, maybe second nature. But that's still not it. It's when you put your whole self, your whole being into the moment, and you kind of suddenly you're outside of time. Suddenly you're outside of all other things in the world. It's you, the being, in the moment of now, fully in full attention and awareness, and able to do whatever it is you wish to do as a being. That's what the mind is trying to, unfortunately, distract you from. Being there.
Yes, and it's also found in the creative moment.
Exactly.
And just the attention, especially for an athlete, they are allowing everything to flow through them so that they can get the maximum result out of whatever the sport or task is. But in the creative moment, there is that timelessness that allows you to put words on a page, paint on a canvas, writing down. Mozart always said he was just in that kind of zone, listening and then writing down what he was hearing, completely focused on that. It's an amazing superpower that we have underappreciated for a very long time. If we allow ourselves to go down that path, you'll find a lot more people who are very happy.
Yes.
I mean, they're not witching about one thing or another. They're just happy. It's a lovely state to be in.
There's another timeless moment which I think many people could relate to as well. There's this concept of love at first sight. What does that really mean? And it also this idea that when you fall into love, there's this amazing euphoria, because a relationship can also be appreciated with attention. What forms a relationship between two beings is that you give your attention to the other, and the other gives their attention back. You trade in this way energy, and to the extent that your relationship moves into the present moment, and you may not have this all the time, but when you're with someone and you're both in each other's presence fully, and whatever it is that's going on around you, there are two beings in the moment of now. And that relationship bond is sort of timeless. You feel like you're carved out of time. You're with the other, and they're with you completely. You're paying attention to each other deeply, focused on the other. And all of the things kind of fade away, right? It's like, people will write about this as sort of this timeless euphoric moment of falling in love with someone. Or we spent the whole day, and it's like it was a moment, and all we did, it seems as though if you were to describe it to somebody, it sounds like a lot of nothing, but all you did was be in the presence of the other. And you found not just happiness, but it's a completeness, a sort of a joy, a wonder of being, in that you're not alone, but yet you're not two people going along, shopping in Walmart. You're in a moment of being with the other, that your whole attention is focused upon. And yes, there's the moment, the surroundings, everything around you, but the being that you're with is the focus of your attention, and the being that you're with has focused their attention upon you. And that story has nothing to do with the mind. It's not the mind story telling you, oh, this one's talking about this one. No, it has almost no words. Or if the words are there, it's only like, how beautiful, that sort of thing. There's no need for the story. There's just an appreciation of the other, and in the moment, and understanding that the other's viewpoint and the other's energies are equally being shared among the two of you. This is a timelessness. There's this moment of let's say the athletic zone. There's the creative zone, and then there's this relationship zone. They're all related to this moment of attention, focus, quiet presence, but it's alert. It is storyless and timeless.
Well, if you think of it in terms of relationship, creativity basically becomes that which you are participating in to produce another creation. And when it's a physical thing, where the athlete is just doing peak performance, as they call it, it is that relationship with consciousness and the body in that particular moment. You're not thinking of what's further plans ahead. No, this is where you're at. This is the track, and you are concentrating on getting the maximum performance out of the physical body, your consciousness, and if it's a game you're participating in, or a track event, which is very singular, because you're really concentrating on the absolute peak performance on you. But that relationship where the energy is flowing, so it's your relationship to your body at that point. It's understanding that the concentration dictates the type of relationship you are having in that moment.
Yeah, I mean, and it comes down to this perhaps overused word, but the word that we're putting here is attention. It seems it should be a grander word somehow, and maybe there are other words, but it is a word that is perfectly suited. You attend. You if you care about something, you will attend to it. But you can also turn it around. If you attend to something, you will care about it. The more that you attend, right? The more that you attend to something, the greater and deeper you care about it. Because why? Because you've now lavished a portion of your existence upon this either other being or this other part of reality, especially if it's a creation, if it's something which you've in this moment of now, you've chosen to create something from matter, from your thoughts realized in the corporeal and the temporal. You care about that, because you've invested yourself, but you've invested your attention into it. To the extent that you don't care about things that are just that come easily, that they were just there, you just pick them up, because you didn't have to attend to them. They almost had no, I hesitate to say cost, but in essence, your attention.
You're not investing any attention into it.
Yes, and just as with a relationship that you care about is one in which you have paid the greatest attention to that other. And one which lasts is where that attention, can't speak, is reciprocal. You attend to the other attends to you. Your beings, therefore, trade energies. Interestingly enough, Margaret, thoughts don't attend back to you. Thoughts only suck energy away. If you don't get anything back from a thought except an echo. All you get back is feed me, feed me, feed me. Tell me, I'll do whatever you want. Just feed me.
Mm-hmm.
And so this attention feels draining. If you come home at the end of the day and you feel exhausted and you say, it was one thing after another. It was this thing, that thing. They all came up. They all needed my attention. Right? Your attention sucked the life out of you because it wasn't it wasn't a relationship where your attention was being returned back to you. It was a relationship of thoughts which were just powering themselves, using you as a big battery.
Mm-hmm. Form will do that. Form does not give back. And we as human beings, we were made for relationship with another living being as opposed to a thing. Giving your attention always to a thing, it does not grow. It cannot grow. Like guys having their relationship with their cars. It just doesn't grow.
Yet, as you mentioned earlier, when you create something, that relationship, it's interesting because great art, great creations, you can feel the relationship of the creator with it hundreds of years, thousands of years after that creator is no longer temporally, corporeally on this earth. Why? What's the difference between the pietà and a block of concrete? Technically not much, chemically not much. But yet the love, the relationship that the artist had with his or her creation, it gives that thing life. It gives it something which even hundreds of years afterwards, you can have a relationship with Michelangelo through this creation. You can look at it and feel what he felt, or at least the echo of that feeling. Mm-hmm. And the appreciation of it is trans-time. When an artist creates an artwork which is going to live throughout time, there's a school of thought which says those things which are the attention that's paid to that 100 years from now is part of the relationship the artist has with that piece of art.
Mm-hmm.
It takes you out of time.
Right, because it's identifying with the eternal piece of you.
Yes.
And, I believe...
No, just continue your thought, and then we'll... The eternal piece of you. That eternal piece of you is your attention captivated in this thing that you spent it on and that others can attend to, that they really can feel you. Truly you.
Yes, and you could see it with music, especially music. It just brings, it's an emotive quality that brings up the emotion or the memory, and you can connect multitudes of people with music. It's so beautiful because it is a shared human experience.
And that attention. Well, let's attend to this. We'll attend to the studio. We'll share some of ourselves with it, and when we come back on the other side, we'll talk more about our attention.
The wait is over. First Blood, Book 2 of the Blood series is out. Your favorite bad boy thief Dev is back, and the beautiful and deadly Trey is right there with him. She is sharp, sexy, and full of surprises. Their adventures continue as a new power arises to threaten the world. The heart of creation is under attack, and time is definitely not on their side as they battle against their enemies' undead hordes. Can they unlock the hidden power that can defeat him, or will his forces draw first blood? Get all 3 installments in the series. Book 0, It's in the Blood. Book 1, Destroyer's Blood, and the new release, Book 2, First Blood, today. Available in ebook and paperback format on Amazon, Kobo, Apple, and most other fine e-tailers.
Moonstones and murder. Real murderers need a heart of stone. Meet Maggie and Mike Heartstone, parents of twin boys, entrepreneurs, and now empty nesters. Mike is retired, not by choice, from his position as chief of police in the picturesque resort town of Hamilton. And now his wife Maggie and her shop, the Cozy Crystal, are their only source of income. When a mysterious killing interrupts Hamilton's famous Springfield Park rock show, the townsfolk, the Cozy Crystal, and their lives are rocked to the core. Can Mike and Maggie figure out who is behind the murderous deeds before the town comes crashing down around them? A touch of romance, a little mayhem, and a whole lot of suspense, along with plenty of comedy and thrills galore. Get your crystal magnifying glass out. It's time for some Moonstones and murder. Available on Amazon, Apple, Kobo, and other fine e-tailers in ebook and paperback. Out soon on Audible. Get your copy today.
Rick Riordan fans, love mythology with plenty of action and humor? Destroyer's Blood is for you. The new fantasy novel by award-winning author Michael Lynes is Book 1 of the adventures of Dev Kalian, the Blood series. Follow Dev and his magic sword Betrayer as they are suddenly attacked and forced to return to Olympus to fight in a war they want no part in. The world of men and gods is about to be destroyed by Zeus's ancient foe, and only Dev and Trey can stop him. The conflict never stops, and the amazing twist will have you on the edge of your seat. Act now while the ebook is on sale for only 99 cents. Destroyer's Blood is available on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, iTunes, Kobo, and fine e-tailers everywhere. And while you're there, get the free prequel, It's in the Blood, available for a limited time. The Fat Man Gets Out of Bed is the latest book from Michael Lynes, the award-winning author of There is a Reaper. Featuring 13 original stories, this wide-ranging collection has everything. Forbidden love, gods versus demigods, weird invading aliens, sexy seductive artificial intelligence, and unusual passion between the living and the dead. All set amidst fantastic worlds of pain and loss and boundless joy. From the sublime to the macabre to the bittersweet, The Fat Man Gets Out of Bed will leave you breathless with laughter, brimming with tears, trembling with suspense. Available now on Amazon.com, Google Play, iTunes, Kobo, and fine e-tailers everywhere.
There is a Reaper is the story of 5-year-old Christopher Aaron and his life-changing struggle with leukemia. Winner of both the Indie Bragg Medallion as well as the reader's favorite silver medal for memoir, There is a Reaper has more than 100 Amazon book reviews and a 5-star rating. It has been described as life-changing, spiritual, a must-read. Just released on Audible and iTunes, this memoir is also available in paperback and on Amazon Kindle for only 99 cents. Get your copy of this life-changing memoir today.
Hi, this is Hannah Ruth from the band Wild Hum. Check out our new Americana Soul CD, Wild Hum, at our website, wildhummusic.com. And you are listening to the Artist First Radio Network. Thank you.
Thank you, listeners, for joining us on The Soul of the Everyman on the Artist First Radio Network. Back to your hosts, Michael and Margaret Lyons.
Thank you very much, EveryMan. And for all of you who are paying attention, if you can repeat back this via email the third sentence of the second commercial, we will give you $100. No, we will not. That's crazy. But if you were paying attention, you could probably do that. Anyway, tonight we're talking about attention.
Oh, my.
And you know, it's funny, Margaret, because what do we say to children almost from the very beginning? We say, pay attention. You know, pay attention. And in many ways, it's not the same type of attention that we're talking about here. The attention we're talking about there is, you know, don't be in the moment. Attend to what I want to teach you or tell you, or you know, behave yourself. Don't be distracted by everything that's going on around you. And that attention is sort of the mind attention. It's sort of the, you know, I don't want you to be in the moment of now. I want you to think about what I want you to think about. However, you know, this form of attention is important for learning. It's important for, you know, being able to function in society. But that form of attention, you know, Tolle has these forms of consciousness, and I think it's the 4 forms of consciousness. That would be more like the you're awake and you're conscious and you're paying attention to what's going around you, but you're not in the 4th state. You're not in this aware of the moment of now, accepting what is, being a being. You're more in the, you know, tot, you know, look at the board, watch me put the numbers on it type of attention. So the problem is the word is used for both those things.
Well, it's usually when you're trying to get a child's attention, it's because it's pay attention to me. Mm-hmm. We need to communicate. Okay?
That's true.
All right, so you're narrowing it down so that there are no distractions so that you can communicate clearly. And with children, you can do that only for very short periods of time. And as a teacher, you realize that. It's like, so you try to be as succinct as possible to get the child to receive the instruction that you're giving him or her. And sometimes what it is pay attention. Do you realize what you just did to this other kid? Okay. Because they're so caught up in their moment and how it relates to them, they don't realize that it has an effect on the environment around them. So pay attention is focus here. I'm trying to expand what you see. And it's got to be real quick and very clear. Because once they get it, they realize what it is that you're trying to communicate. For instance, we were playing with some little, shakers and musical instruments.
Well, for context, you are teaching at a school for 4-year-olds. So just,
Okay.
Just for context.
I was dealing with a couple of 4-year-olds.
Right.
All right. Always fun. And we had to each choose a little shaker or a little for the next task we were being given. So everybody got a little, they got those little jingle wrist jinglers, and then little what are those? It's like the maraca, but it didn't have the handle.
Right. A shaker of some kind.
Some type of a shaker, whatever. And I had pulled out one of these little toys that, you know how the rain sticks have those very tiny little seeds inside, and when you flip them one way or the other, they sound like falling water. Well, this little toy was transparent, and so you could see the tiny beads on the inside, and you can watch them travel down this spiral and making that water sound as it went. So I was so, as with one of the kids, I was like, oh, look, isn't this great? And I'm holding it up to let them watch this motion and the sound. Immediately, one of the kids comes over to me and goes, I want it. And instead of saying anything at all, I looked directly at her and allowed my face to turn very, very sad. Downcast eyes, you're sad on your mouth, your shoulders droop. And she looked at me and she said, you can have it. So at that point, I looked at her and did the reverse. It's everything coming back up. You're smiling. And then I raised my hand and I did the same motion so everybody could see what was going on with the noise and the motion of the beads and the whole experience. But the attention was at that moment. She wanted this. And I looked at her, and it was very as succinct as I could possibly make it. It's like, you want to take this away from me after I've discovered it. Oh. And what does that do? Allows her to enter into my world and realize I wouldn't like that either.
Right, and that lesson is something you have to give children, as you say, and especially the 4-year-olds. But if you go a little further back, I know you've had this experience. When an infant is alert enough, and you gather them up and you look at them, there's a wordless attention that they are born with, that our beings are born with. An infant opens their eyes and they catch your eyes, and there's no words because they don't have any words. There's nothing but their attention, yet you can totally feel the being that you're attending to, because she or he is attending directly to you, and they're taking in everything, and it's expression, but it's energy. Your attention is what they require. You know what they say with infants, failure to thrive really is just they aren't getting enough attention, or they're giving attention, but they're not getting it back.
Right.
And then, as human beings develop and their power grows and their ability to affect their environment grows, they also can get distracted by the mental or by the I wants and the I do's and I gets, and you have to bring them back, bringing her back, this 4-year-old back to the moment of, I was attending to this, I was enjoying this, this was something I discovered, exactly. And it wasn't something that was just open for grabs, that someone could just take it, I want it. In giving her the perspective of, in energy, in attention, we could share it. We could both appreciate it. But but only in the sense that you don't want it to become something that you're going to contend over. It's, I want, I got. Little mine. Little
it's
mine.
Mine.
Yes, little I.
Mine.
Yes, but this is also these exercises of moving your attention around, moving your perspective around, seeing yourself in the other, feeling their energy. And of course, it's that particular exercise shows the connection that human beings have amongst each other. Because when you are, one of the ways we project energy is through these facial displays or the body display, and you can feel the emotion of the other because we have an energy connection. That if it's just a machine that blinks when it's happy or sad, you're like, oh well, I guess it's happy, I guess it's sad, but you don't feel anything because it's not a being. You feel the other's sadness. You say, the old expression, I feel your pain, or I feel your joy, or we're all listening to the same music and we can feel each other's joy and emotion. Those are energy forms, and they all require attention.
Yes. To pay attention to another person, especially when you were talking about the infants and they open their eyes and they see you. They're all there. They're not thinking of something else or planning what they're going to do next week. They're just there.
Right.
And they look at you, and they look directly into your eyes. And if you see that and you look directly back, again, the eyes are the window of the soul. They're looking for your soul. And they're looking for a soul connection. So once they get that, once they see that you're actually there as much as they're there, the joy that spreads across their face is amazing. Right. Because it's not just an expression, facial expression, but their entire body goes into this like, yes, I'm happy.
Right. Well, we see each other. The being recognizes the being from the moment of birth. And they open their eyes and they can't really even focus, but they see faces, but they also feel the energies, and it's the first look or the looks of a very young infant who has no words and no future and no past. Nothing is in there telling them what to do next, but yet you pick them up and bring them up in front of you, eye to eye, right in their focal length, 10 inches away, and they just, first there's this moment of recognition, not of you, but of the connection. And then, you're right, there's this amazing, and if you feel it in yourself, you feel the joy and the timelessness of that moment, because at that moment, nothing is, your mind is completely off of all the things that you're worried about tomorrow and thinking about yesterday. Nope. You're right there with this infant. It doesn't even have to have a name. You don't need names. They don't know your name. You don't need their name. You're just looking at each other, attending to each other, and you can. It's a visceral connection,
and that is the true hello.
Exactly. It's the true hello. Yeah, the greeting. It doesn't need any words.
Nope. You're just like smiling at each other, like I'm here. You're here. It's great. And you just smile at each other because we're both here.
Yeah. And there's nothing more human, nothing more now, and it needs no words. And you feel your soul washing clean as you look into the eyes of an infant, because in that is a fully human being with zero judgment, with no past and no future, just the now. Right. And you're like, wow. And why do we want to protect them? Because they're so innocent at that point. And they have the now. They have something precious.
It's the purity of consciousness. It is so beautiful when you see it. Purity of consciousness. There's such a delight in that expression that they have. just delighted to be there.
And fully attending to now, and it doesn't last more than a moment or two because that connection, something else may distract them or whatever, but there it is, and it's timeless. And once perhaps they get hungry, perhaps something else is bothering them, some other thing intrudes, there's a pain, but in that timeless moment of connection, there's nothing else. You're just there. You're just there, and it's one of the visceral bonds of being a parent, but you can get it without being a parent if you open yourself to the eyes of a child, to an infant, and just look at them. They will look at you the being, not you the ego. They don't care that you're an accountant or that you have a big fast car. They're just, wow, there you are. You and me.
Yes.
And wow, and this is it.
It's just wow. It's a wow moment.
Yeah,
you
and me
come
and
back
wow.
to that really wow moment, it's just marvelous.
Yeah.
One thing we haven't done is read the quote, so why don't you do that, dear?
Okay. We have not read the quote. We went and grabbed a little quote from Tolle, and I'm not even sure what this was from, but he says that attention is the key to transformation, and full attention also implies acceptance. That's Eckhart Tolle. This encapsulates what we've been talking about in a beautiful way. But the key here, I think, the transformation that Tolle is talking about here is the transformation from an ego-bound, mind-distracted, fragmented presence that doesn't have an awareness to something, to you, to the true you. You're being transformed back to the infant attention state. Being able to look at the world and look at another with full attention. And as he says, full attention also implies acceptance. What are you accepting? Now. Here we are. You, me, in the now. Timeless. That it's the fourth state of consciousness, as he also refers to in other writings. This timeless, open awareness, presence, spaciousness.
No judgment.
No judgment, because
there's no ego.
There's no room for judgment, no room for ego.
Yes, the experience of what is unfolding right in front of you just fills your consciousness. And in that moment, again, you are timeless. It's, again, going back to the infant and you seeing each other, timeless moment.
Timeless moment. And these are, they're so precious and uplifting. They're so cleansing that, why do people have dogs and pets? Because this also, you can get this from an animal. This beautiful, it's not a human presence, but it's a beautiful presence which looks at you in the moment of now and accepts you for who you are, and you accept them for you are. You pay attention to the animal, to the dog or the cat, usually a dog, and they just give you back their full attention. They're like in wordless, completely wordless, timeless moment of now. They look at you, and you're like, wow, why do I love to look at the dog? That's why. Why do I love to look at an infant? Because of that timelessness that reminds you of who you are, who you really are.
You know what I think is funny is with babies especially, their favorite game is peekaboo.
Yeah.
I see you. And then the delight that spreads across their face when the I see you. They just start giggling. And that is also key to every human being that is. We are so delighted when someone sees us for who we are, just delight is like, yes.
Yeah.
There's a, I don't know how to, when you feel that, the heart is open. There's someone there who understands my open heart.
The basis of all great relationships is exactly that.
But it's, what's the word I'm looking for? The elation, the spirit and soul are together and just in great love in that moment for whoever or whatever is unfolding in front of you. It is, joy doesn't even come close to the way we've been using it in the English language. It goes way beyond happiness.
Yeah, and when you find that, and you find the person with whom you can have that type of relationship, energy sharing, you stick with them.
If you're smart.
If you're smart. Well, you know what? If we were smart, we would attend to the fact that the show is basically at its end. And so I'm Michael Lyons.
And I'm Margaret. And thank you for attending.
Ooh, see what you did there?